Welcome back to News Pulse on WXYZ for Monday, April 17th. I'm Sammy Witch. Construction, a ubiquitous sight for the campus of SUNY New Paltz. The community was reminded of this reality the past month as the covered bridges that connect much of the academic strip were finally opened. Which should have been a celebratory response, students instead took the opportunity to voice their frustrations at the length of the project. The news followed over 2 full academic years of construction and renovation, a timeline that invoked the ire of the campus community. A far from isolated situation, the lengthy and ambiguous construction projects that can be found in every corner of the campus often raise frustration in those attempting to study and live nearby. We joined field reporter Alexander Yakel to learn more about the particular situation that has been pushed to the boiling point.
The Peregrine Quad, a literal center of student life here in New Paltz. Housing roughly half of all those that call campus home, the Quad features 5 suite-style resident halls. This past semester, however, a new controversy has surrounded the embattled Wasting Hall, and it's disrupted the peaceful docility of these safe havens. Familiar to the current student body of New Paltz, not as a typical resident, but the ever-looming COVID dorm, it housed all those who were quarantining from fall 2020 to spring 2022. With the lightening of COVID-19 regulations and restrictions, the return of Awasting was expected, but the spring 2022 season brought about shocking news that Awasting was about to undergo changes and renovations to the beloved building. Almost a year into the project, and progress still remains unclear. The effect the project has had on its residents, though, has not. The pathways around the building are segmented and interrupted by the fences, and a constant stream of trucks and workers jolt foot traffic. Most apparent around the construction site is the sounds of drills, jackhammers, and other tools. Often starting at dawn, this has become a boiling point for much of the student body. An inherently sleep-deprived community pushed to impulsion, the residents of the halls have taken to screaming directly at the workers in the early hours of the morning. Others have taken their complaints to Res Life itself, aiming to have their woes heard by the RDs. We're here today with a resident of the nearby hall in order to get a perspective on the strange situation. So tell me, how has your daily life been affected by the construction going on at Owaska?
Well, how isn't it affected? I live right here in Mohonk, and it's a part of my morning every morning, whether I like it. I usually wake up before my alarm every morning, but whether I fall back asleep before then is entirely up to the construction. The loudest part seems to take place earlier in the morning rather than later when most people are usually already awake for classes. So that is I find that to be the most problematic.
So lately, students have been yelling at the construction workers because of those early hours that they're having to wake up because of loud noises and such. How do you feel about that kind of reaction? Do you feel it's justified, or do you feel that it's not really fair to them?
I feel like it's a little bit of both. I feel like people like that are kind of expressing what a lot of people living on this quad aren't able to voice. However, when that incident did happen, it was kind of louder than the construction, and I was worried that there was something like some strange type of commotion in the quad. Like, was there something dangerous happening? But I could kind of see where they're coming from. But I know at the same time that the construction workers aren't really at fault, particularly.
Stay tuned as we get more information from a Res Life expert. You're watching News Pulse on WXYZ. Thank you for tuning in.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, love you always.
Everything I do
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org.
And welcome back. Before the break, reporter Alex Yakel introduced us to Awasting Hall and its contentious renovation. We're here now with resident advisor Jolie Orbetta with some information and insights on the situation. Jolie, from a Res Life perspective, how has the construction impacted students and staff?
My stint in res life has been really frustrating because up until this past fall semester, Awasting served as the designated quarantine hall for students who tested positive for COVID. Now with the construction, resident advisors are instructed to tell their residents that if they test positive, they have to isolate in their own regular dorm, which exposes their roommate or possibly a second roommate if they live in triples, which supposedly Awasting will be filled with once construction's complete. And it also exposes any residents who are using a corridor bathroom that is shared by the whole entire wing.
What has been your experience with communication regarding the construction?
Mostly just an overall lack of it. The website online doesn't really have any clear updates or elaborative information regarding the construction, and facilities department has declined to give a statement about the construction. Also, a resident director who was scheduled to do an interview declined because their supervisor would not allow them to divulge any information on the Awasting construction, which to me reflects an overall lack of communication on or accountability on every level of the institution, and a disregard for students' mental, emotional, and physical health.
Thank you for those insights, Jolie. That's all we have for now, folks, though we'll be sure to update you as developments occur. From WXYZ, have a beautiful night.